Welcome to the Deep Dive with Farmtips Dairy. Today, we're diving into the ripple effects of inflation on farm logistics. Picture this. You've got your crops or livestock ready for sale, but then a series of events sends prices soaring just when you need to sell. It's a scenario many of you are facing firsthand right now. There's another silent killer eating into your margins called the domino effect, and it's quietly reshaping supply chains, hiring decisions, and profit projections for farmers nationwide. So we're here today to shed some light on exactly what that means for your business, where the biggest dominoes are falling, and most importantly, what you can do about it. When diesel prices jump, it's easy to see how it impacts your bottom line. But did you know that every single dollar increase in fuel costs translates to an additional $42 billion in transportation expenses across American agriculture? That's right. Last year, farmers spent over $330 billion on fuel and fertilizer alone. But as input costs soar, America's most productive farms are still getting squeezed. And what's worse, it's only the tip of the iceberg. As fuel costs rise, it doesn't just impact your direct expenses, it sets off a chain reaction. Think of it like playing dominoes. When one falls, it knocks over another and another until the last one lands with you. Freight rates jump. Input costs climb, food prices go up, and pretty soon you're left holding the bag. Even if you're not selling directly to consumers, these changes affect your bottom line. As a dairy producer, for instance, you might see the price of your milk dip, while the cost of feed jumps due to increased energy prices. Then there's the squeeze on labor. With wages rising, farmers are being forced to rethink their workforce. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer from North Carolina, shared his experience at the recent Commodity Classic in Houston. His 6,000-acre cotton, soybean, and grain farm typically employs 25 full-time workers plus seasonal hands. But this year, they're cutting back. Boyd says, "We're trying to get by with the minimum number of people possible. Labor is just too expensive." It's a trend echoed across the nation. According to the USDA, nearly half of all farms plan to hire fewer workers this year, and almost two-thirds will pay higher wages. In California's Imperial Valley, labor accounts for 60% of the cost of producing leafy greens like lettuce, broccoli, and spinach. And in Florida's Plant City, strawberry growers have been coping with a shrinking labor force for years. Some have turned to automation like specialized robots that pick ripe berries. Others are relying on fewer crops and fewer workers. But wait, there's more. Once your product is harvested, it often needs somewhere to go. Which brings us to cold storage and where you might think of them as a quick pit stop, but really, they're a critical part of your supply chain. In fact, over 85% of fruits and vegetables undergo some form of cold storage before reaching your plate. But here's the kicker. These facilities are grappling with inflation. Take California's vast produce industry. When energy costs spike, so do storage and transportation costs. The ripple effect reaches far beyond your farm gate. For example, in New Jersey, the cost of storing apples has jumped from about 20 cents per bushel in 2022 over $1 today. Those costs are passed on to you, the consumer, and the price of your favorite snack climbs. Even if you're not selling perishable goods, warehousing is a critical part of your supply chain. During harvest season, it gives you time to sort, grade, and package your products before shipping them out. But when warehouses themselves are feeling the pinch of inflation, it affects you too. In Texas, grain farmers rely on large-scale dryers to prepare their crops for storage. But with energy prices on the rise, running these dryers is becoming more expensive. This means either the cost of drying the grain goes into your expenses, or you have to wait longer for the natural drying process. Either way, the dominoes fall. Farmers are turning to smaller-scale dryers that dry slower and take up more space. They're also investing in technology that helps them track moisture levels closely and dry more efficiently. But that's not a solution everyone can afford. The impact goes beyond just financial strain. Farmers are having to get creative to cope with these challenges. Many are changing the crops they grow, opting for faster maturing varieties that need less drying time. Now, that's not always ideal, especially when you consider that these changes can affect the quality and yield of your crops. Next, let's talk delays and disruptions, because when it comes to getting your products to market, timing is everything. Imagine spending months preparing your crops only to have delays at processing or distribution centers that could have been avoided. Sound frustrating? Well, that's exactly what's happening. Just think about what happened at the ports during the pandemic. When international trade routes were disrupted, cargo ships were stuck waiting to unload. This backed up the entire system, creating delays that trickled down to farmers. That's why some producers had to wait weeks or even months to get their produce picked up after harvest. And it's not just about waiting around. These delays can have serious consequences. For example, fresh produce can spoil while sitting in a warehouse. And if meat processors are backed up, farmers with livestock might have to hold on to their animals longer than planned, increasing their feed and labor costs. Add to that the stress of trying to forecast planting, harvesting, and sales when you're not sure how long things will be delayed. It's enough to make anyone's head spin. However, there's always a silver lining if you look hard enough. Let's take that produce sitting in a warehouse. Instead of letting it go to waste, some entrepreneurs are stepping in. Take Ryan Gorman, a young farmer from Washington. When he noticed piles of unsold produce like carrots, potatoes, and parsnips, he took action. He partnered with local farmers and food hubs to redistribute this produce, reducing waste and saving farmers money. Gorman's initiative not only diverts food waste, but also generates income for farmers who might otherwise have to sell their produce at a loss. Another example is Daniel Mackey, founder of Urban Fast, a company based in Nashville, Tennessee. Mackey sources fresh produce from farmers markets and food hubs and distributes it to customers through online platforms. By cutting out middlemen and connecting directly with customers, farmers can save on distribution costs and potentially earn more profit. Now let's shift gears and talk about the smartest strategies to navigate these choppy waters. As a farmer or a growtrepreneur, you have the unique ability to adapt and innovate. Here are 5 ways you can start building a more resilient supply chain. Number 1, optimize your logistics. That means finding the best routes, reducing empty miles, and planning ahead to avoid late deliveries. Number 2, build local partnerships. Connect with nearby businesses that could help you cut costs and access new markets. Number 3, diversify your offerings. Can you add value by processing or packaging your products locally? Number 4, explore alternative crops. Are there different varieties that mature faster or need less energy to process? Number 5, go digital. Use technology to track your supply chain, manage your data, and stay informed about market trends. Inflation has a way of making us feel helpless. But remember, every challenge is also an opportunity to learn and grow. Stay adaptable, keep learning, and don't be afraid to experiment. If you want to learn more about how to make your supply chain more inflation resistant, download our free guide by clicking the link below. We hope this exploration has been valuable. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you again on our next deep dive.